Salutations.
Get a text from Ken. He's here with us tonight.
Oh, Kenny. Hi, Kenny. And welcome. Ken's here. I'm here. You're here. We're all here.
The gang's all here.
Hail. Good evening, my lovely friends, and welcome to Wednesday night live stream, the first live stream of 20 and 22. Where did 20 and 21 go? I think we skipped from 2020 to 2022. We forgot 21, but that's the way it is. How exciting. Of course, time is really flying by. I find it just moving so quickly. You may find that too. And it's really a frequency of new energy that's coming into the planet. And one thing it's kind of revealing is time is an illusion. We who are in the third dimension of three-dimensionality, we are in the movie in different, if you will, pieces of the film, so to speak. If you can imagine a film and there are different pieces of film. Well, we are beings who decided to go into different pieces of the film and then choose free will in order to make choices to change the movie as we went along. And so the movie is not simply done, we're creating it as we go, which is very exciting. And if you know that, you see, then you can have free will and make choices to change the movie. If not, if you're in this piece of film, celluloid, and you're not making choices to change, you're simply going along with the status quo, what is being said within the news, on your social media, listening to all the, excuse me for my French, bullshit that's going on out there. you then simply go along and you follow their trajectory, which is fear and worry and concern and powerlessness and limitation. That's what the power structure is seeking to create. It's pharma, it's money, it's the whole millennia that we've been to for the last 2,000 years of masculine dominance. It's trying to subvert the feminine of heart, of feeling, from which truth arises forth, where we can really make choices of free will from. And so we're at a very beautiful and a critical time, because as these new frequencies now are coming into the Earth grid, we're moving more into what we call a fourth and fifth dimensional frequency. It doesn't mean that in fourth dimensional frequency, which we sometimes refer to as ascension, it doesn't mean we're leaving or going anywhere. In fact, it's bringing those higher frequencies and really beginning to manifest them within form, to create that which we call the fifth dimensional Christ field. It's a field of energy, not a person, but to be able to live it and experience within you, inside out. And so you become this fifth dimensional being that really lives in timelessness. And in that, you see, then you can really make choices of being a true creator. You can manifest, you can create, you can create out of matter. And so we're no longer, if you will, held under the thumb, under the foot of lack of resources, lack of monetary, prosperity, any lack at all. When we move into this new and Christed state that's coming, and again, we're at the very beginning of it. It opened, as we realized, in December 21st of 2021. That's when 2019. I lost a year. Yeah, December 21st of 2019. See, I did lose a year. So that's when the doorway really opened into the age of Aquarius. And so now we're moving in a trajectory of ascension into a golden age of light and light activation. Up until that time, and we've talked a little bit about it on this gathering, that up to that time we were on a descending arc, that the precession of the equinoxes, it is in a 24,000 plus cycle. And 12,000 years ago, around the time of Atlantis, we then reached the apex of that great Atlantean civilization of humankind. And since then, life has been simply then moving into a lower frequency. And as that happened, then human beings became more ignorant. We have much more mind and thinking, but even that has taken us away further from living with the heart and living with nature, living with truth. But in December 21st of 2019, you see, we reached the bottom, the nadir, they called it, and now we're moving on the ascending plane, coming back out. That's what the Mayans talked about in the Mayan calendar, that we would go through this 2012 cycle. That would be the doorway would begin to open, and then we would step through the doorway. And so this is where we are now in 2022. We're dynamically moving forth into this new doorway. And so this is why so much more information is now coming out around the Christ field and the creation mechanism of the star tetrahedron, which is a form of light and consciousness. Built of light and consciousness is the focusing of the mind, which then focuses consciousness. Imagination then creates the image of the star tetrahedron, and is formulated because you have created then the balance of masculine within you, no longer as the old paradigm manipulating and controlling, but the mind is now silent and an agent of just focus. And now we have moved to the place of true love, authentic love. Before, love could have been maybe emotional, it could be kind of soupy and sugary. But true love is feeling the oneness of that which you embrace. If I'm in love with you, I feel no separation between that which I am and you. No separation. We would call that unconditional love. And so authentic love is feeling no separation from no thing. And so you feel oneness with tree, with plant, with animal, with sky, literally with water. You simply feel source, living, breathing through all creation. You came from source. You are source. You emanated from out of source. And as we learn then to balance the masculine of power, focusing, we move to this place of such profound love and self-love. The two come together, and of course, we know this is the creation of the star tetrahedron. The focusing of light and consciousness. And as it's moving, of course, around the body, whatever size you choose, it could be small in the beginning, it could be much larger. Again, it's simply the beginning of creating it to find the perfect size, the perfect manifestation. But you'll find over time it begins to develop, it begins to grow, it becomes much more refined. I remember when I first began working with the star tetrahedron work was probably 2016, maybe 2015 it was. The beginning of it was simply feeling within the heart an opening. And then I was taught to breathe through the back, out the heart. And so I was breathing from the back through the heart and then breathing life and light out. And I wasn't even aware of really what this truly meant. But over time, as I continued to do that and focusing my mind and learning to feel the love of it ever more, I then began to feel and imagine then this movement of this light activation. And at first, it was somewhat blurry, but over time, as I then in my meditation began to every day focus the mind very clearly and precisely upon then the movement of this light form around me, upper triangulation moving left to right, lower triangulation right to left. And as I began to be aware of that movement of these opposite triangulations, I realized that it was around the heart chakra in the very middle that the star tetrahedron was revolving. And as it was moving in this movement of the opposition of triangulations, it then I could feel the doorway opening. And so no longer was I breathing from the back out the heart. I literally felt this doorway open within me back into the void. And of course, that was quite a marvelous revelation. Because when I experienced that, I literally could see now that I, the third eye, could then look literally inside of me. And as I looked through this open doorway, what I saw was an eye, a magnificent eye. And that was the I that I am, that is within the void, that is God I am, looking back at me within this dimensional world. And so we're now looking at each other. And so it was a marvelous recognition that I am source, all is source. And so this is that open doorway. And because we then open the doorway back into the void, we can then bring the light of the mind. And this is what we do in our meditation. And we realize that we can then peer back into the void where we exist in oneness. And as we simply observe in the void that which we would choose to illuminate, we choose to illuminate it. It creates a mirroring reflection off of it. It mirrors it out through the star tetrahedron in a multi-dimensional facet array, which we then call a holographic manifestation. And then the substance of the eoma, a very, very fine substance. It exists throughout the entire cosmos. It's what precipitates the stars into manifestation, the planets, because some great Christed being, some great Christed consciousness has held the imagination, the form of the star tetrahedron of a literally star system. And so the star manifests, the void then becomes the star that then the eoma then glitters it into hydrogen that then coalesces finally into ignition into light. It's the same with Earth. It's the same with all creation, even down to the level of an atom. It is all simply star tetrahedrons from the smallest minute to the most grandiose, simply as Christed energy, creation coming forth into manifestation. And the goal, you see, of our evolution on the planet, a three-dimensional world, is we came from out of source. If we always knew what we would be going to do, what every moment was in the future, there'd be no interest. It'd be like, oh, I'm going to do the same thing. I always know what I'm going to be doing. And so we decided to, what you might say, hide ourselves. We gave ourselves free will to come from out of the void into the symbolic manifestation of three-dimensionality, be hidden and cloaked within this dark world of three-dimensionality. But then we would have free will to make choices. For the first time, Source would have the free will to make choices of, now, what do I want to become? What would I like to see myself to be? And so this is the magnificence, you see, of a human experience, having free will to choose to create life, and life anew. Life that's never been seen, life that's never happened. This is true creation. And we are at the apex of that marvelous experience, because we're now learning that we are from Source. The star tetrahedron is who and what we are. And as we then learn to manifest it and create it within us and around us, we literally see the void opening within the very center of our being, the heart chakra. The petals of the heart chakra, they open, and within the inner petals is the doorway, the sacred jewel in the lotus. This is somewhat what that sacred jewel looks like. A beautiful, multifaceted, prismatic form. And if you could see this particular form as I'm looking at it, the light around me is shining through it, and I see nothing but rainbow colors all around me because of all the facets that exist around this particular beautiful image. And so this is what we do. We look back into the void, and as we then summon light from out of the void, what we choose to create, it emanates out, touches the multifaceted, and then as it simply becomes the rainbow array of holographic form, we manifest life. And so this is why 2022 and moving forward into the new age becoming, you see, there'll no longer be food shortages. There'll no longer be issues with, any type of prosperity. Everything will be able to be created. Doesn't mean we're there yet, but we know that great beings like Jesus, who mastered the Christ condition, was able to manifest, to heal, to create. He simply said, I show you the way. I show you the way. And the way is, all that I have done, even greater things than these shall ye do, because I have now shown you the way. And the way is the star tetrahedron, the Christ condition, not a person, but the original manifestation of creation that we are now learning how to literally manifest and become. It is the apex of evolution of a human being moving to a human divine species. Fifth dimensional beings, God on earth. So we are that doorway, my friends, the magic seeds going forth to seed this new information, this new vibration for what is coming before us and after us. The beautiful thing about this also, as we then also, you see, begin to manifest and create this Christ condition around, within, and through us, what it does, it literally then vibrates to what we call the past. And so it literally begins to heal and change the past. It begins to heal and change the future. There is really no past. There is no future. There's only the eternal now. And as we change vibration here, it simply emanates out. Just like as you would drop a pebble in a pond, it goes 360 degrees. It doesn't go just to the front of it. It goes front and back. And so we are changing all creation. And because we're changing the past, it means then what we would call the future is being created with even more beauty and clarity. Because we heal that which we think are our wounds, we heal what we think were our childhood issues, and because they no longer existed, because we changed the past, we changed what happened, everything today now rapidly changes into the future. So this is why we also see time then changing very rapidly. We're healing the past, rippling it out to the future, which ripples back to us, ripples to the past. So pretty exciting. Someone?
Ken sent me a text. He's wondering if anyone's having connection problems.
Looks pretty good here.
Okay.
Don't see anything. He might refresh his browser. Of course, one of the things that helps us recognize the open doorway is the breath, but it's more than breathing. It's actually summoning spirit from out of the open doorway, out of the open doorway. And so as we then are focusing our attention, we're actually with our breath, we're observing that with the in-breath, belly breathing going out, lungs filling. At the same time as we're breathing in, we're actually then breathing from out of the open doorway, spirit. It is spirit that gives life to all creation. Life only becomes animated because spirit gives it life. And so as we're breathing in, we're then summoning spirit from out of the open doorway. As we then hold for a couple of counts, and then we out breathe, we're then watching and feeling golden, sparkling, effervescent light, then shining, sparkling, effervescent all around us, flowing and rippling out to everyone and everything in the world. And now we're changing the frequency of the world. This is what we are here to do, change the frequency of life. Not by trying to change the world, not by trying to make something different, by simply changing the frequency, everything automatically begins to flower. If you have a flower and it's wilted, or a plant that's wilted, you don't try and go pour some fertilizer on the flower. You go to the roots, you go to the sap of it, and you give them the nutrients at the very base of creation. And then the flower automatically takes it up. And so it's the same with life on the planet. Yes, it's in chaos. Lots of things happening, but if we're disliking it, judging it, criticizing it, then we're trying to change the flower that's wilting. It's not going to happen. If we go to the frequency of bringing the new life wave, the new feeling of consciousness, and we're now emanating that out, it automatically goes beneath the flower, the roots of creation take it up, and automatically life begins to change. This is how we're going to create heaven on earth experience. So let's go ahead and do about 5 minutes of breath work, please. Very deep in breath, summoning spirit from out of the open doorway. We like to have the spine nice and straight. You can imagine a string at the top of the head gently pulling you up. And let's go ahead and do 5 minutes of summoning source from the open doorway. And a couple of more deep breath, calling source, spirit, from the open doorway within the heart. And very easily now, slowly coming back. The breath technique can be a very important part of our daily life. If we are feeling some emotion or something is a little chaotic within our environment, it's because the mind has become attached to that. The mind is thinking about it, the mind is observing it. And so if we take a moment and simply come back to the breath, which is the heart, from which the truth of life really manifests, and then we simply once again focus the mind upon breathing and breathing source, spirit from inside out, it does two things. First of all, it refocuses the mind on truth, that everything is but an illusion. It is light, but light in a particular wave form that the mind perceives as possibly chaotic or out of balance or as emotional. But if we were really looking from the Christ condition, we would simply see nothing but light in a form that is interesting, but it would really be light behind it, within it, and through it. And so we perceive once again the ultimate truth. The other thing that it does, it also then creates a frequency of light and peace coming from us. And so as we then move to the breath and just quietly, even with eyes open, we can simply stand in front of someone, stand in a chaotic situation, something that's going on around us. We simply with eyes open, as I practice constantly in my life, simply with eyes open, breathing very deeply. In breath, summoning light from inside out, golden, effervescent, sparkling light, just like the sun is now emanating from you. And if you do that from 5 minutes, your emotions will fall away. You'll begin to change the frequency of what is going on around you. You'll begin to train yourself to see only that which is within and through all creation. Doesn't matter what it looks like on the surface, within all creation, there is only light. It is light that is in a wave form that you perceive the way that your five senses believe it should, could, might look. It's an illusion. It's a playground that we're here to simply learn how to bring that Christed light, live it within and through three-dimensionality, and then change the frequency of life for all creation. This is God source on earth. It's why we're here. So we'll go ahead and do the star tetrahedron meditation. I'll take you through the light activation of it. I would encourage you as we're doing the star tetrahedron that you feel yourself also breathing from inside out. We call it Ujjayi breath because we hold the neck back just a little bit. And as we're breathing in, we're really breathing kind of up the back of the head, through the back of the sinuses. So let's go ahead and close the eyes and feel the body relaxing. Body relaxing. We can become aware of the breath, breathing in source. We are learning to focus the mind upon the silence of breath, and the body relaxes automatically. Body relaxing. We bring our attention between the eyebrows and within the center point of the head, the pineal gland. We ignite the light of the soul. We hold attention here and light increases, a light that fills the mind, fills the brain with living sunlight and peace. I am the light. We focus the light to the heart chakra at the sternum and we illuminate what already exists around and through you, the star tetrahedron, the Christ form. The upper triangulation is of masculine divine power. Lower triangulation, divine feminine love. The triangulation rotates in whatever form is comfortable for you. You will naturally find its rhythm, but in the turning of the star tetrahedron, it opens the sacred doorway within the heart, and arising forth from out of the void is spirit and life. I am the light. Let us sit quietly together and I will join with you. And together we will create a star tetrahedron of magnificence, bringing light frequency to the world. And welcome back. I'd like to reiterate the importance of the breath arising forth from the void. It is the spirit that gives life. The Christ is the coming together of mind, consciousness, spirit, source, and form, which is manifestation. And so it is the three that then become manifested as one creation. And so it is, once again, the breath is the spirit. The Christ is that which then is able to bring all these together. The breath, the consciousness, the focusing of mind, and then through the form create life. And so the breath is a very important part of our work. Knowing that you are breathing, again, spirit from inside out, the void. At the same time, you are then able to imagine and feel arising out of the void is this liquid light gold that the Christ condition then literally sends out through the physical form, changing and restructuring all cells, tissues, and then emitting as sunlight out into the world. And this, of course, is the simplicity, the very simplicity of our work. Again, not trying to change, but simply becoming the living light. When the sun shines brightly, the fog disappears. So we are the light. Thank you, my friends, for joining a marvelous group tonight. And I look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks, the second time in 2022. 222022. So ta ta, 22.